Hey guys, I'm not here to rob the school. I'm just here to take the fish and set them free. It looks like we've got 3 in there. We might find more when we start digging around. I want to congratulate you on doing a great job this year. It seems like not great success considering how many eggs we had at one point, but I can take a big part of the blame for that. And actually, the white cover on the filter there was the issue that we had, right? We lost fish there, and this is actually kind of part of what Trout Unlimited does out in the mostly with the agricultural use. We try to prevent fish from getting lost in places that they're going to die, like what happened here. But in the opposite, what we do is we block irrigation canals so that the fish get diverted back out to the stream instead of ending up in a farmer's field. It's kind of what happened here. These fish that got sucked up in there ended up in a farmer's field. So it was kind of my fault on that one, so I'll take most of the blame. But congratulations, you did a great job. We're here to capture the fish and take them to Willow Pond, and you guys are going to come along with that. Ms. Buxbaum has a couple of questions that you guys sent in, so I'll see if I can answer them.
So you just answered my first question, where will they be released, and where is Willow Pond?
Okay, so Willow Pond is along the Jordan River in Murray. It's actually in a park called Willow Park. I think that's what it's called. We always just call it Willow Pond Park. But it's the place where I've always taken all of the fish that we've raised in other Trout in the Classroom since I started. It's a pond that's put there for urban fisheries, so people have a chance to go fish on their lunch break or their evening outing. You see a lot of families there doing stuff. There's trout and catfish and bass in that pond, so these guys will have lots of company.
What will they eat since there's no fish food in the wild?
As I stand here looking at these empty seats, I can see about 10 kids with their hands up going to answer that question, right? The answer is mostly insects. As they get older, they'll start to eat more insects, and a lot of time people think that insects are only above the water, but in many cases they start underneath the water. Their parents lay eggs or drop eggs in the water, and then they hatch in the water and live there for a while before they hatch out of the water. That's why in fishing you hear them say that the hatch, we're going to match the hatch. So we're figuring out what the fish are eating based on what we see happening at the water. So yeah, it'll be mostly aquatic insects. There's also plankton. You guys have heard about plankton in the ocean and whales eating it and stuff. And their plankton can kind of be of a loose term for tiny things that we really can't see that the fish just eat to get bigger until they can eat insects and other aquatic invertebrates, and then they end up eating other fish and whatever else they can find. As they get bigger, they'll eat mice that are swimming across the pond, or small birds, ducklings, whatever they can eat that they can get down their mouth, they will eat at some point. So, but mostly they'll be eating plankton and insects.
How big are the 3? What would you estimate the size of the 3 remaining?
The ones, the biggest one is about 2 inches long. The other one's about 1.5 inches. The other one's hiding. We'll have to see if we can find him. That was a funny thing. When we first got here, we thought there was only one, but when I started lifting up the pump and stuff, I could see that there were a couple more. They were doing what fish do. They were hiding and taking care of themselves, making sure nothing could eat them. So that maybe that's how these guys survived.
What do you think that they'll do once they get released?
Well, they'll probably be like we are. Probably the first thing they'll do is as fish, their instinct will tell them to hide because they don't know where they are. There's predators that could eat them from above. There's predators that could swim out and eat them, other fish. So they'll try to head for some reeds, some grass probably, and try to hide until they kind of get their bearings and figure things out. Since they've been in a tank, they might be a little confused. They may not do that. They might just kind of be stunned and try to figure out where they are, just like any of us would. But if they, if once they kind of settle in, then they'll start to do what they're doing here and hiding along the back of the rocks and underneath the pump and stuff.
And then I have one of my own questions. Have you seen any change in trout behavior or other wildlife behavior because people are staying at home?
You know, I've heard a lot of really great stories about animals, reclaiming urban areas and cities. Coyotes in downtown Chicago, and people in Venice can see the fish in the canals because the water's clear from, there's not as much silt from them pushing the boats. So that's a constant thing that's happening there, and the activity on the water is stirring the water underneath it and creating the silt, and the fish are, now they can see them, they can see what's going on. There's a lot of cases of that. I can't think of too many locally. The fish, people who are able to go fishing right now are doing better than those who haven't, because there's so little pressure that the fish are not, like, it's been a while since they've seen some activity from anglers, and so now they're like, oh, I'm safe. So fishing has been better for those who've been able to do it, and this is a really good time of year to get fishing, so people are kind of antsy about that. I'm trying to think if we've seen, I think in certain areas, like here in Salt Lake, up on the Bonneville shoreline, we've been on some hikes and we've seen a lot of people. So I would imagine that they're not as, there's probably more pressure than there had been. Mm-hmm. So animals that live in that border area, they're probably staying a little above the trail and away from the city. But places, the cities are the places where they're going to be seen. We've certainly seen a lot more deer near the Salt Lake City Cemetery up on 11th Avenue. We see them there quite a bit, but we've seen a lot more, it seems like. So it's a good question. The animals are adapting. It doesn't take long for them to figure out, hey, things are different. I might be a little more safe. It's like a sanctuary type of thing. A national park, animals are a little more, they're less cautious around people because they understand that they're not in danger from people. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's all that we came up with.
Well, you guys, I'm sorry that you couldn't be here to do this and miss the field trip. It's a bummer, but you did a great job, and we'll have some fun getting them to their final place. Okay guys, here we are at Willow Pond, their new home. This is where a lot of the other fish that we've done Trout in the Classroom have come before. A lot of other schools in the Salt Lake Valley bring their fish here. So we're gonna let them go, and maybe they'll run into some of their old friends. Speaking of old friends here, I've got Ray Loken with me from Utah Division of Wildlife Resources. Ray's a conservation officer, and I just wanted to have Ray tell his fellow workers how much we appreciate the opportunity to have this program. The Division of Wildlife provides the eggs and a lot of assistance through the process and helps Trout Unlimited make this program work. And it's very successful in Utah with more than 70 tanks across the state. I think in the last 4 years, 4 years ago there were 20. So, and you said you're doing it too. That's really cool. What school are you helping?
I was helping a school up in the Sandy area, and they were doing great until the school shut down.
Yeah.
But it's a terrific program. The kids get to learn a lot about nature and about raising fish, and we're grateful to have the chance to participate in the whole program.
Well, that's great. We appreciate the partnership. So, Ray, if you want to let him go, I'll be glad to let you.
Okay. There goes one. Where's the other?
They'll be kind of stunned for a second, and then they'll start to go,
There
hey,
he
what do
is.
I need to do to get out of here?
Look how they blend into the bottom, guys.
Yeah.